In this video, we're going to look at oblique asymptotes. Now, oblique asymptotes are basically asymptotes which are not horizontal or vertical. So, in previous videos, we saw that we get a vertical asymptote when the denominator of our rational function, that's q of x we're calling it, was 0. We saw we got horizontal asymptote in two instances, either if the degree of q of x was bigger than the degree of p of x, meaning we've got something like a linear term like x plus 5 divided by a quadratic term like x squared minus x plus 6 or something like that. In this instance, as x tends to infinity, the whole function tends to 0, and we have a horizontal asymptote on the x-axis. We also got horizontal asymptotes when the degree of the top and bottom are the same. So that could either be linear over linear, like 2x minus 1 over x plus 4. In this instance here, as x tends to infinity, we ignore the minus 1 and the 4, and we get 2x over x is 2. That would give us a horizontal asymptote at y equals 2. Or it could have been quadratic over quadratic. So for instance, x squared plus 1 over 3x squared minus x. Well, as x tends to infinity, we basically end up with x squared over 3x squared, which is a third. So that will be a horizontal asymptote at a third, at y equals a third. Oblique asymptotes are asymptotes which are on the diagonal. So for instance, we might have an asymptote like this. And maybe what the curve actually does is something like this. So here, the sketch I've drawn, it has a vertical asymptote, but it also has this oblique asymptote, and that is the curve approaching a diagonal line. Now, these sorts of things occur when the degree of the numerator is greater than the degree of the denominator. Specifically, we get a linear asymptote, like a straight line that we're approaching, when the degree of the numerator is 1 more than the degree of the denominator. So for instance, if we had a quadratic x squared minus x minus 3 divided by, say, x plus 5, in that instance, the degree of the numerator is 2 because it's quadratic. The degree of the denominator is 1 because it's just linear. And so the degree of the top is 1 more than the degree of the bottom. And that's when we get these diagonal oblique asymptotes. So let's look at how we find out what the equation of these asymptotes are. So let's start with this one here. We can already figure out, by the way, what the vertical asymptote here, it's going to be x equals minus 1. And we can figure out other things too. For example, I do know that the x-intercept and the y-intercept are both 0, because when x is 0, y is 0. So it does go through the origin. But let's have a look at how we find this oblique asymptote, because as x tends towards infinity, well, we kind of see that we're getting x squared over x, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the oblique asymptote is just y equals x. Here's how we do it. We actually just use polynomial division, really. And so I'm going to split this up. Now, I could use division, but in fact, it's almost easiest to say, I know that I can represent this in the form some amount of x plus some constant plus another constant over x plus 1. It's basically like partial fractions, but a simple one because we've only got one factor down here. I know I'm going to get an ax because x squared, the power is 1 more than the power down here. So I need a bit of linear for that. I need a bit of constant as well, and I need something over x plus 1. That's like the remainder. So what I typically do is now use algebraic fractions to just add all of this up together, give it a common denominator. When we do that, what do we get? Well, I've got to multiply the ax plus b by x plus 1. So it's ax plus b times x plus 1. And then I also have the plus c, and all of that is over x plus 1. Now I'm just going to be comparing coefficients between the two numerators. That's the x squared here and all of the stuff over here. So just looking at the numerators, I've got x squared. And in fact, being really precise, it's a triple equals here. It's an identity. It should be true for all values of x. Expanding this, I get ax squared. Then I get plus bx plus ax plus b plus c. And we can figure out everything we need from this. The coefficient of x squared on both sides is 1, because 1 over here, so it's 1 over here. So a must be 1. The coefficient of x on the left is 0, so it must be 0 over here, but it's a plus b here. So I know that a is 1, so what I have is b plus 1 must equal 0, and therefore b is negative 1. And finally, the constant on the left is 0, so b plus c must be 0 as well. So I can say that b plus c equals 0, and then c is 1. So now I have an alternative way of writing this. It is ax, that's 1x, plus b, plus c over x plus 1. So that's 1 over x plus 1. This is the form I need to figure out the oblique asymptote, because what I can see is as x tends towards infinity, this tends towards 0, and what am I left with? I'm left with x minus 1. So y equals x minus 1 is the equation of my oblique asymptote. Now, what does that look like? Well, minus 1 is about here, and so I can do a dotted line like that, and that is the diagonal corresponding to my oblique asymptote. Okay, it's now a process of sort of doing dot to dot, so I know that we need to, it's maybe worth thinking about where it's positive, where it's negative. I know that as long as x is more than minus 1, that denominator is positive, and x squared is always positive. So to the right of this vertical asymptote, it's always positive. That must mean that it comes down here. It must mean that it just touches the curve at this point, and then it heads off towards its oblique asymptote like that. And then on the other side, I probably haven't really given myself enough room. I definitely haven't given myself enough room. It's going to come back on the negative because when x is less than minus 1, we've got a negative here and a positive here. And so it's going to be coming down like that and then heading back to its oblique asymptote. I didn't really leave enough room there, but we're basically getting the same shape here, but rotated and down here. So that's how we approach oblique asymptotes. We're just going to work through a few examples here so that you can put this into practice and try this for yourself. Okay, let's have a go at this one now. And pause the video and do have a go at this one for yourself first. So we know it's going to have an oblique asymptote because we've got a quadratic over a linear. It's got the same vertical asymptote as before, that's at x equals minus 1. This one, however, does have some roots because that numerator, well, the previous one had a single root, repeated root, but this one's got two roots at minus 2 and 1. So it's going to cross the axes here and here. I can figure out a y-intercept as well because when x is 0, I've got minus 1 times 2, so minus 2 divided by 1, so it's minus 2. So we do have a y-intercept there. So let's find the equation of this oblique asymptote. It's a quadratic over a linear, so I can definitely write this in exactly the same form as the previous example. Some amount of x plus some constant plus something over x plus 1. Let's add these together using algebraic fraction techniques. So give it all a common denominator, ax plus b times x plus 1 to get the common denominator, then plus c. All over x plus c. Now we're going to just compare coefficients on that numerator. I'm going to expand this now. So I get x squared plus x minus 2 must be the same as, now expanding this, I get ax squared plus bx plus ax plus b plus c. Comparing the coefficients of x squared, I get 1 over here equals a here, so a equals 1. Comparing the coefficient of x, I get 1 over here must equal b plus a. b plus a, and a is 1. So b is 0 in this case. I also have that b plus c equals minus 2, so 0 plus c is minus 2, and c is therefore minus 2. So my function can be written as 1x plus 0 minus 2 over x plus 1. So as x tends to infinity, this bit disappears, and my oblique asymptote is just y equals x. So let's put that in. Now it's just using logic to connect all of these points up. So let's think about positives and negatives. I know that when x is bigger than 1, everything in here is positive, so we're definitely positive over here, which makes sense. So I'll be approaching this asymptote. I'm just going to go right over my work a little bit. Down through this point, down through that point, and I've got to head down to this asymptote now. And down it goes. Does that make sense for it to be negative in that region? Yes, because when x is between -1 and 1, we have negative, positive, and positive, which is negative. Then finally, what have we got? Well, between -1 and -2, what do we have? Between -1 and -2, I've got negative, positive, and negative. So it's got to be positive here. So it's coming back from this one. And we need to approach that asymptote, which means going through this route here and tending off towards the asymptote there. So, completely different looking graph there. We've got our vertical asymptotes here, which is approaching there and here, and we've got our oblique asymptote, which is approaching in this direction there. So to summarize, we use basically a version of partial fractions to split up our expression into some part with no denominator plus a remainder over a denominator. That's always the bit which disappears to 0 as x tends to infinity, and you review what you have left, and that is your oblique asymptote. In this question it was just y equals x, in the previous one it was y equals x minus 1. Once you have that oblique asymptote, you put that in, and then it's just a sort of dot-to-dot puzzle solving thing, just like in the previous stuff we've looked at, where we're thinking, how do we get from one place we need to be to another via the points we can go through, occasionally thinking about positives and negatives along the way to help us out. Okay, that's all for now. We'll do some exam problems on this in the next video, so see you there.